السلام عليكم ورحمة الله الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. So we are on reminder, I guess it's number 6 or 7. SubhanAllah, how many weeks have passed since the quarantine, which is what it really is, began. And we now have, it's our second reminder, I think, inside the month of Ramadan. And we only have literally 3 Fridays remaining, or about 2 weeks left. The 29th of Ramadan will approximately be a Friday or a Saturday. So we are nearing the end. We've almost got halfway during this month of Ramadan, and this is now the time we need to really take into consideration our actions. We need to also try our best to take advantage of this opportunity. I've said this many, many, many times. This Ramadan is a unique Ramadan for many people, myself specifically. Sometimes during the year or some Ramadans, people make i'tikaf, where they go to the masjid and they distance themselves from the world and the shughul, the distractions of this world. And although this quarantine is not exactly like an i'tikaf, we are not really distracted or detached from the world. We are very much detached from what we were used to do or what we used to be doing on a daily basis. And we have this unique opportunity to try our best to engage with Allah, engage with this religion, and try our best to elevate ourselves. And one thing that I want to talk about specifically today is the topic of one act of worship which we often neglect as things we do. And I've mentioned before many times, we as Muslims, unfortunately, have taken our religion as almost just a collection of rituals rather than an actual act or an actual way of living to connect oneself to Allah. That is a fact. And as one of my students and friend made the comment, he said, we've almost become like Jews, where we do the acts, but some of us are actually hollow. But this doesn't mean the end of the world. It means it's a time of reflection that, yes, we continue doing the acts, but we need to have and integrate and incorporate within our acts of worship that ruh, that spirit, that soul, that connection we have with Allah and His religion. That it means contemplation, reflection, and self-assessment and self-development. And one way, and we need to scratch the surface and analyze what are we missing. Is it the case that we are just following the rules and regulations, following the pattern without any thought, or are we trying our best to actually seek a reward? Think about it for yourself. Think about it in your mind. Is it the fact that you actually believe in a Jannah and they actually are working towards achieving that? Just like we all believe in a graduation in our school, in our university or college, and we work towards that feasible, tangible goal that we believe is going to happen, we need to think like that. Is Jannah like that graduation that we know is tangible, we can feel it, and we are doing these acts specifically to achieve that? This is how we begin to engage our nafs, our soul, in our acts of worship. So the act of worship which I want to focus on today is Qiyamul Layl, the praying during the night. فإذا فرغت فانصب وإلى ربك فارغب. And Ibn Abbas mentioned, what's the tafsir, what's the meaning of this ayah? Allah says, فإذا فرغت فانصب. Faragha means to finish with something, like I'm farigh, I'm not empty, I'm free from doing X, Y, and Z. So Allah said, فإذا فرغت, if you are now free, fansab. And nasab means like to make something erect or upright. So Ibn Mas'ud mentions, فإذا فرغت من الفرائض, if you have finished now with doing your obligations, fansab fi qiyamul layl, then now stand in the night prayer. The night prayer, much like fasting, are acts of worship that you can now get that connection between you and Allah, and no one is exposed to, no one is aware of. It's one of those acts of worship it's not a social or communal act of worship, it's a personal one. And that's what's unique about this COVID, is that it's made it apparent to us how sociable we were with our acts of worship and how personal we weren't. And another, Mujahid, which is one of the students of the Sahaba, he said, فَإِذَا فَرَغْتَ مِنْ أَمُورِ الدُّنْيَا, as if you finish now with your affairs of the dunya, فَانْصَبْ لِرَبِّكَ بِالصَّلَاةِ, then stand and pray to your Lord. So the meaning of the ayah, in a nutshell, is if you're finished with what you have to do, or you want to do, or you must do, now do the supererogatory stuff, the additional things. أن رجل سأل النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم عن الإسلام فقال 5 صلوات. A man came to Mr. Allah, asked him about the salah, and he said 5 prayers. في اليوم والليلة, in the day and the night. فقال الرجل, and a man said, هل علي غيرهن? Is there anything else that I must do beyond these 5 salah? And the Messenger of Allah said, لا. No. إلا أن تتطوعوا. Except if you do extra sunnahs, extra supererogatory stuff. So this is where the ulama have established that only the 5 salahs are an obligation and everything else is sunnah. But like I said before, the sunnah or these extra deeds that you don't have to do, this is where your mettle is really being tested. This is where you can really shine. It's just like in school. You go to school, you do the work, the homework you're supposed to do. But imagine top of your teacher giving you homework. You did the homework that you're supposed to do, but you did extra work. You did extra research and extra writing up, and you gave that to your teachers. Look here, I did your homework, but I did something extra as well. This shows an added level of juhud, of effort, that a person is putting into their effort, and the teacher would obviously appreciate that. And likewise, if a person does what Allah has ordered him to do, but also does the extra stuff. It's the extra stuff that makes you stand out. It's the extra stuff that makes you... Everyone does the wajibat, or at least we hope so. But it's the extra things that we want to explore here. So, what can we say to encourage us? So we have the hadith of Abu Hurairah, that the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "In awwal ma yuhasabu an-nasu bihi yawm al-qiyamati min a'malihim as-salah." So the first thing that a person will be judged on the day of judgment is his salah, the prayers that he does. قال يقول ربنا عز وجل. So Allah will say to his angels, وهو أعلم, and he knows already, Allah knows. انظر في صلاة عبدي, look at the salah of my slave. أتمها أو نقصها. Has he done it properly, or is there some deficiency? فإن كان تامة كتبت له تامة. And if his salah, his wajibat are done perfectly, then it's written for him perfectly. When كان انتقص منها, but if it's a bit deficient, he prayed but his mind was somewhere else, he wasn't really focused, wasn't really engaged with the salah he's supposed to be, or he was a bit naqs, or something missing. قال انظر هل لعبدي من تطوع. Then look, does he have any additional salah, something he did extra that maybe he can complete the naqs, complete the deficiency. فإن كان له تطوع, and if he does have that which is additional salah, قال أتم لعبدي فريضته من تطوعه. Then complete his obligations with the extra stuff that he did. Fill in the gaps. ثم تؤخذ الأعمال على ذلك. Then his actions will be taken likewise. So here we have an encouragement for us to do the additional sunnahs, to do additional salah, because unless you are fully confident that your salah is complete and tam from the moment you became Muslim, or when you was born, or you was baligh until you die, and if you think your salah is complete, then by all means do only that. But if you're realistic with yourself and you know how you are, how we all are, then we need to fill in the gaps. And we have also another hadith of Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, where he said, "Alaykum bi kathrat as-sujud lillah." I advise you, and it's upon you to increase in the prostration to Allah. فَإِنَّكَ لَا تَسْجُدِ لِلَّهِ سَجْدَةً. For verily, you will not prostrate to Allah a sajda, a prostration. إِلَّا رَفَعَكَ اللَّهُ بِهَا دَرَجَةً. Except that Allah will raise you in station. وَحَطَّ بِهَا عَنْكَ خَطِيئَةً, and Allah will remove from you a sin. So we can see here, there's definitely an encouragement for us to do as much as we can of the additional salah. But then we have the ruling. What is the ruling of these salah? If you've already guessed before, we can see that the ruling of the additional salah is that it is sunnah. Only the 5 daily salahs is an obligation, but any additional salah, whether it be Qiyamul Layl, praying in the night time, tarawih, whatever you want to call it, or sunnahs like the rawatib or whatnot, then they are exactly that. They are sunnah. The Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, إِذَا صَلَّ أَحَدُكُمُ الصَّلَاةِ فِي مَسْجِدِهِ, if a person prays his salah in the masjid, فَلْيَجْعَلْ لِبَيْتِكَ نَصِيبًا مِّن صَلَاتِكَ, then make your house have a portion of the salah. فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ عَزَّ وَجَلَّ جَاعِلٌ فِي بَيْتِهِ مِن صَلَاتِهِ خَيْرًا, because Allah places the salah done in the home as beneficial, as there's good in that. So here we see an encouragement to do our sunnahs in the home. Again, highlighting that personal relationship with yourself and Allah, where you're worshiping Allah in private. You could do your salah in the masjid in public. I mean, not now because we're in lockdown, but you could do so in public. But then there's an element of there are people there seeing you. But if you do it at home, there's that extra benefit you're doing it at home. فَعَلَيْكُمْ بِالصَّلَاةِ فِي بُيُوتِكُمْ فَإِنَّ خَيْرَ صَلَاةِ الْمَرْءِ فِي بَيْتِهِ إِلَّا صَلَاةَ الْمَكْتُوبَةِ. Another hadith, then do your salah in your homes, for very the best salah that a person can offer is the one performed in his home, except an obligation, because the best form of obligation is to do it in the masjid. Also, we have another narration where Aisha, he said, أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم صلى ذات ليلة في المسجد فصلى بصلاته الناس. So she's talking about the masjid. One time he's praying in the masjid. So this was after the Isha. He decided to go into the masjid and he decided to offer the salah. So some people saw that and they joined him. ثم صلى من القابلة فكثر الناس. Then the next day he prayed in the masjid again, and then more people decided to join. ثم اجتمعوا من الليلة الثالثة أو الرابعة فلم يخرج. And then the third or fourth day, people went there again, but he never came out to pray with the people. فلما أصبح, when the morning time came, قال قد رأيت الذي صنعتم. I've seen what you have done. وَلَمْ يَمْنَعْنِي مِنَ الْخُرُوجِ إِلَيْكُمْ, and nothing prevented me from going out to lead you to salah and to perform the salah, إِلَّا أَنِّي خَشِيتُ أَن تُفْرَضَ عَلَيْكُمْ, except that I feared that if I were to do that, then maybe it will become, Allah will reveal, based on those actions, that it will become an obligation. So as a mercy to you, to leave this Qiyamul Layl as a sunnah, the Messenger of Allah didn't come out to pray with them. وَذَلِكَ فِي رَمَضَانِ, that was during Ramadan. And this is the basis of our Qiyamul Layl that we do during Ramadan, or what we call it as Taraweeh, is based on this hadith. So we can see here that the Messenger of Allah explicitly said that Qiyamul Layl is a sunnah. You don't have to do the Qiyamul Layl, but like I said, that's what makes it so special, that you don't have to do it. Because you don't have to do it, but yet you do it, that gives it such an extra level of reward and benefit to the believers. But how is that done? Now, there are many, many, many modes and ways in which it has been narrated that a person should pray the Qiyamul Layl or the nighttime prayer, based on how the Messenger of Allah sallallahu prayed it himself. And what you will notice from the different modes that has been narrated is that Qiyamul Layl is not rigid like Salah. We have 3 rak'ah for Maghrib and 4 rak'ah for Dhuhr and Asr. It's not rigid like that. Because it's a sunnah, it's something that's down to your discretion, how you want to implement it and how you want to do it. So take these different modes as many different ways in which you can perform it. And I encourage you to diversify. Diversification keeps things fresh, keeps things alive, keeps things different. Doing the same thing over and over again in the exact same form and manner can afflict someone with malal, with boredom, and we're just human beings, you know. If I gave you the most expensive steak every day, at some point you want fish. That's just reality, even if the steak is the best in the world. So the first type, Ibn Abbas mentioned, قام فصلى ركعتين. So the Messenger stood and he prayed 2 rak'ah. And I'll for the sake of brevity, I'll leave off the Arabic. And he prayed long in this first 2 rak'ah, 2 units. He made his standing long, his ruku' long, and his sujood long. Then he went and he slept. After finishing that, he went and slept. And then after that, he woke up. ثم فعل ذلك. And then he woke up and did it again, and then he slept again. So then he continued this until he finished 6 raka'at. So you pray 2, then slept, pray 2, then slept, pray 2. And then every time he would do the siwak, he would freshen up his breath with the siwak, and he would recite in the Quran some verses of the Quran. إِنَّ فِي خَلْقِ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ وَاخْتِلَافِ اللَّيْلِ وَالنَّهَارِ الْآيَاتِ لِأُولِي الْأَلْبَابِ, until the end of the salah. I mean the ayah. So that's one mode in which one could do Qiyamul Layl. Do 2, have a rest, sleep for a bit. Then do another 2, and again. And another 2, and again. Then we have another mode, which is narrated by Aisha, that he will start his salah with 2 units, but make it light, khafifatan. It will be maybe something, you recite something small, not recite Baqarah in the first unit and Imran in the second, but you recite something light. ثم يتم ورده 11 ركعة. Then he will complete off and do more salahs until the event. Eventually he will complete and conclude with 11. يسلم بكل ركعتين ويوتر بركعة. So he would do 2, 2, 2, and then finish 2, then finish and 2, then finish and 2, and then finish until at the very end on the 11th one, he would just do 1 rak'ah and then finish. That's another mode of doing Qiyamul Layl. The third mode mentions 13 rak'ah, 13 units. So as you can imagine, 2, 2, 2, 2, and then at some point finish off with witr. And then the fourth manner is to do 8 units, again 2s and 2s and 2s, and then finish it off with witr, which is 5 rak'at. So witr, having 5 rak'at. Often we know you can do witr in 1, you can do witr with 3, but you also can do witr with 5. So you yutiru bi-khamsin sardan, so you do all 5 altogether. لا يجلس فيه شيء إلا في آخر, and he won't sit down in any one of them to do the tashahhud except in the last rak'ah. So much like you're doing 3, so you did 1, you do 1, 2, 3, no tashahhud. You did it in 5, again with no tashahhud, but finish it off with a witr. And so on and so forth. So there are other modes here. For the sake of brevity, I'll leave it at that. But you can see here that the very, very, very basic element, the Qiyamul Layl, is units of 2s. 2, then stop. 2, then stop. 2, then stop. And then finish it off with 1. And this is in line with the hadith of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which is muttafaqun alayh, where he advised someone who asked him about the Qiyamul Layl, and he said to him, "Mathna wa mathna wa idha khushiya ahadukum as-subha awtarat bihi ma salla." Do it in 2s and in 2s, but if you fear the dawn break, then finish it off with the odd. Finish it off with the odd number. So this is the essence of Qiyamul Layl. You can switch it up as much as you like. You can do 2, you can do 4, you can do 6, you can do 8. And as long as you finish off with the witr, that's sufficient for Qiyamul Layl. And you don't have to do 20 rak'at or whatever the masajid do. Again, we've got into the idea of just following what the jama'ah does, because we've outsourced our ibadah. We just do what everyone else does. We just don't go there, do the actions and go home and feel elevated. But when you're now doing your own personal ibadah, you make the decisions yourself, you make the choice yourself, and you worship Allah purposefully. Then I want to conclude here with the manners, the adab. What's the adab of Qiyamul Layl? And there are mentioned in a book I have, mashallah, purchased. It's a good book if you can find it. I don't think you can find it in the UK, but it's titled كانوا قليلا من الليل ما يهجعون, as in they used to sleep little during the night. So it's a whole book about Qiyamul Layl. And he mentioned here 11 adab or manners of Qiyamul Layl that can help elevate your ibadah. So one of them is the niyyah to do Qiyamul Layl in the nawm. So if you wish to do the Qiyamul Layl after having a little sleep, having that intention to do Qiyamul Layl before you do that, before you go to sleep, that's one of the benefits or manners and adab of Qiyamul Layl. One of the benefits being that if you oversleep and you're unable to make that, at least you got reward for the intention. Especially if you are regular in doing so. If you're regular in sleeping and then praying a little bit in that time and then going to sleep again, if you do that regularly, those odd days that you oversleep, you still get the reward of praying Qiyamul Layl. Number two, dhikrullah ta'ala inda al-qiyam. So when you wake up from the sleep, making dhikr of Allah when you wake up. Because obviously you're getting ready for ibadah. That's the only reason why you're waking up. Number three, at-tasawwuk inda al-qiyam litahajjud. So doing this siwak. Obviously the best thing to use is the actual siwak. But obviously if you don't have that, then brush your teeth, make it freshen up for your Qiyamul Layl. إيقاظ الأهل للقيام للتشهد. Waking up your family for tashahud. Now this one is a difficult one because often we think and we believe that worship is burdensome. So the idea of waking up our children to pray is almost like saying, oh, have mercy on them, let them sleep. Rather, the mercy is to wake them up and get them used to this so that at least when they get older, they know and have experienced what it means to do the qiyam, to do the nighttime prayer. And maybe they will continue after you have passed off and gone to dust. So waking your family to do Qiyamul Layl is also encouraged. افتتاح القيام بركعتين خفيفتين. So open up your qiyam with something light. And that's, you can see based on the hadith Aisha, that's something you can do. But as you know from other hadith Ibn Abbas, the Messenger also open up sometimes with something long. But yes, open up light, dip your toes into the water before you go full in. Yeah, that's something that's encouraged. Number 6 is something which is obviously not necessarily something that we can do by forcing it. I mean, you probably could. But it says here, al-buka' inda qira'at al-Qur'an wa tadabburihi. Crying when you recite the Qur'an and contemplating it. So try this whole idea of crying when recitation of Qur'an and reciting and praying. It doesn't necessarily mean that when you pray, you try and force out the tears just to make you cry. If you could do that, great, obviously, because maybe by doing so, you'll actually engage real emotion. But the whole point here is to actually think about what you're doing. So maybe one thing to probably do is to prepare yourself for your qiyam by reading beforehand. What are you going to be reading? Understand what's being read, and maybe look for key words that you understand, so that when you do reciting your Quran, maybe if you're not Arabic, you can at least remind yourself this is talking about X, Y, Z, and you can probably engage that way, and maybe you can induce some genuine emotion. But that's the whole point here: is your Qiyamul Layl is your reflection of the Quran and what Allah is telling you, and to engage with what's been said in the Quran. Ad-du'a fi Qiyamul Layl, making du'a when you're in Qiyamul Layl, and the whole purpose and benefit of asking Allah, making du'a, is acknowledging your servitude and the fact that you are a slave towards Allah. You are in need of Allah in all affairs, and asking is one of the greatest forms of humility, and not asking is one of the greatest forms of kibr, arrogance. ترك المشقة على النفس في الطاعة. This is a very important one. Removing hardship from yourself. So if it becomes difficult for you to stand for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, your feet are hurting you, then stop. Don't force the situation, because if you do that, you are only going to fight against your nafs, and at some point your nafs may win. So encourage your nafs, your soul, your body, to worship Allah, so that maybe inshallah your nafs will be in line with what your aql, what your mind tells you must do. Inshallah you can get your nafs in line with that for the worship of Allah. ترك القيام عند النعاس. So leaving off the qiyam al-layl when you're falling asleep. So if you're reciting the Quran and your eyes are going and your eyes are going and your eyes are going, then go sleep. Nothing wrong with having a sleep for a little bit, then wake up again and freshen up, or just leave for the day. Or maybe prepare yourself by sleeping before Isha. Have some sleep after Asr, so that when you do Qiyam al-Layl, you're ready. But don't recite Quran when you're tired. And you can reflect on that from the ayah of the Quran where Allah said, لا تقربوا الصلاة وأنتم سكارى حتى تعلموا ما تقولون. Don't go near the salah while you are drunk, so that you can know what you are reciting. So knowing what you're reciting is a key part of the salah and a key part of reciting the Quran. Again, we've got into the habit of just routine worship where we just say the noise, the sounds, and that's it, we feel elevated. You're supposed to engage. You're supposed to engage with the Quran. So try your best to do so. So feeling tired, you're not engaging. Feeling tired, you're not engaging, your eyes are going. And النوم بعد قيام الليل, go and sleep after salah. So therefore, the last thing that you do is qiyam al-layl, and then you sleep. And that will inshallah it may induce some nice memories, not memories, dreams, inshallah ta'ala. الدعاء إذا فرغ من صلاته. And finally, making dua after you have concluded with your act of worship. And this is important here, ladies and gentlemen, akhawat, and that is tawassul, seeking closeness to Allah in your dua. We have three ways in which we can do so. One of those ways is through righteous deeds. So you can ask Allah by your righteous deeds for the things you need to have in this world. So this is another act of worship, another thing which is praiseworthy for you to engage with, and something we should try our best to always do. Do acts of worship and then engage with Allah, communicate with Allah what you have done, and express your feelings, express your emotions, express your need for Allah and why you did those actions. Or maybe in that moment you'll reveal feelings and emotions that you probably didn't know that was there. Anyway, that was just a brief look at oft neglected acts of worship that we should 100% try our best to engage with this Ramadan, and inshallah ta'ala, which we need to engage with that also after Ramadan. I'll leave it here, inshallah, and hopefully, inshallah, you have a good day. Prepare yourself for Qiyam tonight, and as it being Friday, inshallah, we have Surah Al-Kahf that one should recite. وصلى الله على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.